Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. And Happy New Year to each and every one of you. I think this is the first time we've really gotten a chance to talk to the whole group this morning. On behalf of the Acapo team, we're glad to have you with us and joining us for this vendor information session today. We're going to give you some good information throughout the briefing. As always, if you have questions, please feel free to type them in the chat or raise your hand, and one of our team members will let me know that we need to take a pause so that we can answer those questions for you. So please make sure that your microphones remain muted unless you've been called on with your hand raised or you're typing something in the chat and we ask you to come up on the line, and we will go ahead and get started here. Today we're going to talk to you about the new MOA, the adding of exams, prep courses, and study materials, uploading your pass fail results, the sample quotes, our program manager's notes, and then we'll recap. So we're going to jump right in here and start talking to you about the new MOA. Some things have changed in here, some good information that we were able to capture and lessons learned over the last couple years to make sure that we have all of that in our MOA with our vendors. So we want to go over some of the changes that came up and let you guys know about the new process of having to go in and re-sign your MOAs. So to go ahead and get started with that, of course, on the very first line of the MOA in the first paragraph, excuse me, you want to make sure that your vendor name is in there. That is very important because if we don't have that, we're going to kick it back to you and ask you to go ahead and add that for us. So, what are some things that are new in the MOA? First and foremost, you see it right there. Refrain from bundling. Because of the new processes and administrative suggestions, we are no longer bundling in our programs. Sophia will go into that more as far as with adding items into your portal profile and as well as on your vendor quotes. We'll go over that a little more later. But you'll see here about refraining from bundling. Payment for courses and exams are approved prior to the start date. However, payments may not be made until the start of the course. We see a lot of vendors emailing us asking us why they haven't received payment yet. Because of things such as the CR or the workload that may be incurred currently, you may not see those payments made until the day of training. So let those soldiers know when you talk to them because they're going to be antsy and anxious as well that, hey, we may not receive payment for you until the day of. Please be patient. And I know the Capital team is working on this on your behalf. Making sure that you're required to be in business no less than 2 years. That's a really big push. Mandatory, Adam, as well. And then, of course, a valid business license. Some vendors are not required to have business licenses per their state. If you send us a notification in your profile upload when you're updating that information and show us proof that that is not required within your state, then we can make adjustments as needed. If you don't mind, please make sure your microphones are muted as we're going through. Thank you. The next section here, customized quotes. Again, this is based off of what the soldier needs, but Sophia is going to go into that more depth when we talk about the quotes and everything. So we're going to make sure that we're providing the soldiers customized quotes when they contact you. The vendors are required to upload a P or F for the results, with the exception of Pearson VUE and CompTIA. So previously, we used to have you uploading the certificates of completion in the new AI portal, which each and every one of you will be working out of as vendors. Once a soldier's end date has passed, you'll be given the option to add either a P for pass or an F for fail. That's even if the soldier does not show up to the course, it would still be an F. You are still required to provide a certificate of completion to the soldiers themselves, but for the system, we need you to add a P or an F. And then also making sure that you have a valid website. We've had instances where vendors have put just the website to, say, a training source that's not associated with them, a third party vendor. It has to be a valid URL website that connects the soldiers directly to your company to show them what you offer. Next section here, we have the start and end dates. You'll see here that that has migrated to no earlier than 45 days, no later than 90 days prior to the start of the course. So if a soldier says, hey, this course starts in 30 days from now, can I take it? No, because the system's going to automatically not allow the soldier to take that course or anything past the 90-day mark. So definitely make sure that you're keeping abreast of that when you're giving them the quotes. I think we have a hand up here. Do we have a hand up? Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Vickers.
Yes, sir. Under the pass or fail status, I don't know if you call or not, but I fall under the Pearson VUE CompTIA. And I ran into an issue recently with a soldier who had reached out to his local education office, and they told him, and which, again, this is going between people, but he says that they told him that CED Solutions could basically provide a document that says that they completed our course and they passed it or they failed it, and that would be sufficient enough to meet his requirements. And we kind of went back and forth on it, and I think he got frustrated with me. But I told him that you have to upload your exam results. I don't know if maybe some of the local education representatives don't know the full story. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I ran into that issue.
Thank you for that. Sophie, do you want to address that one?
Yes, please. And just real quick, what is the course that you offer that? So are you giving training, or you're just talking about when you're selling your voucher?
It's the CompTIA training. I don't remember which course it was exactly, but it was one of the CompTIA courses.
Okay, and then you're just selling it. You're not actually the one that's providing the training.
Well, no, CED Solutions is providing the training, yeah. But they have to take that exam on their own.
Well, so the completion itself is when you have completed the course. So once that course is over, you are supposed to provide the soldier with a certificate of completion.
Right, but I think the issue is that he had failed his exam, and he was trying to look for a way, I guess, to get a passing result. Just in my communication with him.
Yeah, I understand. But he would have, I mean, as far as the exam, that must be just a free item that you all just give?
Yes, it is.
Okay, that's not part of the total cost of the course. So that being said, the only thing we're looking for is the passing of the training, right? Again, whatever free items you all give that we have no idea about has nothing to do with, we're not looking for that exam grade. We're looking for your certificate of completion for that training.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so
that
you
clears it
definitely
up,
have
yeah.
to. Okay, good. Yeah, as long as you do that, that'll be fine. And then there's a question. Is there a way for a soldier to submit their completion prior to their end date? Also, can soldiers apply for FY23 money if they still have FY22 funds they're using? And the answer is yes, they can apply for the FY23 funding, even though they have an ongoing course from FY22, Kelly. That's totally fine, as long as they still have time on that FY22 CA request, right? So if the end date is not passed yet, they're totally fine with submitting credentials sequentially, simultaneously, doesn't matter, as long as there's no hold on their account at that time. And as far as them submitting their certificate of completion, they can do that. We do have this in the works to where you will eventually have the ability to do it prior to the end date. It's just it's just not there yet. So until that time, yeah, if they can absolutely send it in on their own via Army Ignited messaging using the credentialing assistance category. And then Ken asked, since payment will be delayed, are we going to be notified of approvals? I had 2 soldiers approved for a course, but I was only notified when payment was made for one. The other one was approved, but I didn't know until I put a help desk ticket to get his status. So it's okay. So Ken, this is the same thing, right? You will have visibility in the future of what soldiers have been moved to finance for payment. Unfortunately, you don't have that visibility until finance contacts you to make the actual payment. But as far as asking for, let me see, I was only notified when paid. Yeah, that's the only way at this point. We will get there to where you have that visibility. It's just not there yet. Okay. And then Susan asked, I have a chief who is being told he has no funding available, but has not used any fiscal year 2023 tuition assistance. So Susan, depending on, I mean, if he submitted a CA request, he just submitted something for $4,000, right? And it hasn't been paid for or anything. It automatically holds his funds until it's either paid or rejected, right? So he might not think that he doesn't have any funds, but if he did submit something like a CA request or a TA request and it's holding those funds, then that's probably what it is. But I won't know unless I see his account. So you can have the soldier ask or send a message and we can review and see his account if that's the case.
Thank you. Yes, he uploaded a quote and got that immediate message back. You have no funding available. I thought that was really odd.
Yeah, if you wanted to send that information to us, that would be great.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And then the last question before, 2 more questions, and then Russell will move on. Christine said, where do we locate the new MOA to complete? And that was actually sent out, but I'm assuming that Russell will send this out when he sends out the recording. He will send a new MOA for along with the next email. And then Kelly, this is the last question before Russell moves on. We have about a dozen soldiers who received emails that they had been approved and moved to finance, but we have not gotten their funds. Their start dates were mid-December. Is there a way that group got missed? Should they resubmit a quote? If they were approved and moved to finance, just if you would like to send me, and I'll send you I'll put my email in this box here in just a sec. Send me the names of those because I'm quite sure finance hasn't missed anything in December or mid-December, so might be more to that story. So I'll send you my email. Please feel free to send that to me and we can review it. Thank you. Okay, back to you, Russell.
Thank you, Sophia. Another item that's new to the MOA that the vendors need to be aware of is that you need to show proof that either you are an authorized training provider, an ATP, or statistics. And if you are submitting statistics, say you are a Part 161 school and the FAA doesn't require you as an authorized training provider, you can send statistics. I can't talk this morning, that are greater than or equal to 1 year of not just soldiers, but individuals that have taken your courses and show proof that they have passed the exams. So remember, a letter showing that you are an authorized training provider, and that can be uploaded into your AI portal profile. We'll show you how to do that here shortly, or at least greater than or equal to statistics for 1 year. So the MOA previously was required to be renewed every 5 years. That now has moved to every 2 years. That's why we're doing the push for all of our vendors to go ahead and get that done now. Yes, I will send out the new MOA with the recording of the video once we're complete. So you'll have that new copy and you can sign it and get it back to us. Make sure that the MOA is signed by a member of your leadership hierarchy. That means your CEO, your owner, your president, your VP, someone who has legal authority to represent your organization with this memorandum of agreement. Excuse me. Refrain from high pressure recruitment tactics. This includes for contacting units. You see here where it says it's considered 3 or more times where you're contacting them, asking them to put in courses or anything like that. That is not authorized. If you send a message out, if a soldier contacts you, which is the way that it should go to begin with, a soldier contacts you and says that they want to take a course and you provide them with a quote, then that's when you need to give them the information. But it shouldn't be, hey, I'm going to send all these things to the education office and I'm going to bombard them every couple days with new information. That's not authorized. So make sure you do not do that if you've previously done that. All right. I'm going to push to the next section here and turn the wheels over to Sophia. And we're going to talk about adding courses, exams, and prep material. Sophia, you got the ball.
Thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and share my, well, before, while I'm switching over to share my screen, if you have any questions for Russell, please feel free to raise your hand.
Hi, Robin. I see your hand raised.
Hi, good morning. Thank you. We submitted our statistics last year. Do we need to resubmit?
So if you've still got that document, you can upload it into your records, and that can be uploaded into the section where you're putting your supporting documents. Because it's last year's stats, obviously it's going to show that it's more than a year, greater than a year. So you can put those stats in there, or if your stats have increased or decreased, you can upload that into your record in the AI portal.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just going to use my PowerPoint because if I don't, then I won't be able to see any of the questions. Okay, so I did want to go back one slide, and I'll go right here to the refrain from high pressure recruitment tactics. This has been an issue that we've run into with some vendors, and I want to make sure we go over this one more time. You know, so if you have soldiers, first, I'm sorry, Sophia Sweeney, the Credentialing Assistance Program Manager and Army Corps Program Manager, sorry about that. This is an issue that has been ongoing with some that are contacting units, or maybe they're contacted by a unit or a soldier who wants to have courses on an installation or even off the installation, but want to have it for a group of soldiers. Okay, that is not okay. Okay, we cannot without the ESO permission. So you cannot just reach out and continue a conversation with the soldier about a unit training or a group training without letting the actual ESO know on that installation. Okay, that it's very important that you make contact with them. And it could be a harmless discussion, and it's totally fine. But the second you know that they want to involve more people, or you talk about, hey, well, if you have more than one person in this attend with you, then you'll get a discount, then we have an issue. Okay, that requires installation access. So please make sure you are actually asking permission from the ESO through installation access, which can only be done in the AI portal. Please do it in there, just to let them know that you're having, that SODRs are asking you for a group training, okay? Another thing is we have SODRs that will say, hey, I'm being contacted heavily by these vendors, and it's, I don't want them to call me anymore, right? And so this falls into this high pressure recruitment tactic. I understand that you all don't see who's coming over from our team to get paid by finance, right? We know you don't have visibility, but to contact the soldier to ask them constantly if they've submitted their CA request is a no-go, okay? Don't continue to contact them to ask them if it's done, what's their status. If they want to let you know, they'll let you know. But if you contact them more than 3 times, you are definitely violating the MOA. Okay, you're going to have to wait until we actually move that over to finance and finance contacts you. Okay, any questions there before we move on? And Robin, I see your hand is still up. Are you wanting to ask a question or?
No, I will lower it. Thank you.
No problem. Hi, Juan, go ahead.
Hi, good morning, Ms. Sophia. A little clarification on that point. I totally understand what you're saying about the high pressure tactics.
Mhm.
We don't teach any classes on post. That's by our choice as a company. It's just too much hassle, and it gets a little dirty, a little muddy, just like you just described with the potential communication issues. Does that still require installation access, even if we're
No.
teaching off base or off post? Excuse me.
Well, it just depends, right? It depends. So if you are scheduling something for a unit or a group of soldiers, then that becomes an installation access issue, right? But if you're having a class outside of the installation and it was open to everybody and you didn't specifically target any group of soldiers when creating that, you're totally fine. There's no requirement for you to contact the ESO on that.
Okay, perfect. That's the exact situation we work under. I appreciate you helping us with that last one you just did, getting access for that one post. The other question I have is when these soldiers grab our flyer and it proliferates a certain post, for example, I'm protecting myself because I'm not going out and seeking these people any further than that. Is that fit within the MOA there? Because I've had ESOs contact me say, hey, these flyers are all over our installation. You should have came through us. And I'm like, well, I sent it to one soldier and one soldier took it upon themselves to send it. How would you address that issue if and when that happens and comes back up to you?
Oh, then my situation, for me, what I would say is, okay, well, how do you know that this soldier didn't make 1,000,000 copies and send it out? Not something that the vendor can control, right?
Okay.
As long as you didn't give that soldier a stack of, flyers and say, hey, I need you to go pass these out,
Mm-hmm.
well, then that's different, right? If you did that, then yeah, that would be violating the MOA. But if they take it upon themselves to, and I have this discussion with many ESOs who have this issue, right? And I tell them the same thing, look, they can absolutely take those flyers. If that soldier wants to take that flyer and hang it up in their barracks, that's not something anyone can control, right? And it's totally fine. The vendor is not wrong for providing a flyer, and that soldier takes it and does whatever. Totally fine.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It does clarify everything for me. Thank you.
Great. No problem.
Hey, Sophia, got a two-part question here real quick.
Sure.
The first part is regarding the high pressure recruitment tactics. It says, is this mandate about discussing group courses or if they are using CA funds only?
This is well, okay. So if you're the installation access for any type of like group courses, that still applies, right? Even if you're not using CA funds, maybe the unit is funding it themselves, that still requires it to go through the ESO So if that's happening, you definitely need to get with the ESO. There's a process that, to teach on the installation. There is a lengthy process, but is it possible? Absolutely possible. But that all has to go through the ESO. Even if they're using CA, because we do have some installations that use vendors and they're using CA to pay for their training, totally fine, because that was all authorized through the ESO. Hopefully that answered your question.
And the second part of that regards to the website going into the AI portal. Some of the vendors have come back and seen where it says that it's not secured. But this second part says our IT advises it is not best practice to select advanced when a site is noted as secured. Can your new contractor resolve the security on your site?
That is something that we can actually push up higher. So we can send it up in an actual, or you can, if you or provide us the information or something, right? So that you can submit a help desk ticket to ask this question. But I think actually that would be great if you could send us that information, because I would like to see what the answer is going to be on that one.
One more here. Have you let the specific vendors know that solicitation is an issue? We will send an email to soldiers that requested an invoice to see if they are still interested, i.e. the course date has passed and no funding was received. We are just trying to plan for the next class, but we only send one email.
Right. We have let those vendors that are doing or violating the MOA, we have already let them know what they're doing wrong. And again, when we get complaints from SODERs, I mean, we will dig in further, but when they don't complain, we don't know. As long as you're not going, the one time, I mean, that's okay. As long as it's not, constant, that's fine.
And the last question before we proceed regarding installation access. If we contact one post, i.e. post A, and they contact other posts, post B and C, do we need to apply for access at the other post, even if the training is at post A?
So as far as the installation access contacted, okay, and they contacted, do we need to apply for access at the other post? Is post A the only place that you're completing this training or doing this training? Post A is the only post. No, you don't need to. So when you say, do you have a mic, John?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much. I apologize for the confusion. Let's just say that the Post A reaches out to us, and Post Texas, and Post Texas wants to involve. They're spread out all over the country and globe, and so they reach out to Post Montana and Post Oregon. The training is definitely going to be at Texas. But they're just going to do whatever it is they do. And then Montana and Oregon, they'll just kind of fly in. Do we need to reach out to the other two, or even if you have, yeah, so I guess that's really the crux of the question.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Are you doing any of this coordination with the other two, Post B and C?
No, not at all.
So this is something that someone in a unit is doing, but you have authorization to give training for this, Post Texas?
Oh, that's correct. So, it's like the headquarters, higher command, and then the higher command reaches out to the other folks.
Well, no, then you're fine. As long as you're just focusing on, Post Texas, right? And whoever else jumps in, that's not really from other units or other locations, that's not really your worry. You don't have to worry about that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Back over
Okay.
to you, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, so let's go ahead and go over this is going to be kind of we've been going through this courses and prep exams and prep materials. So let's go through this because, and please ask questions if you are not sure. All right, so we already know you got to log in. Once you log in, if you're going to add a prep course you click on prep courses. From there, you're going to select, you know, where you're going to add an exam, right? So let's say you're going to add, this is what you want to add an exam, just hit add exam. Then from there, you're going to select the actual credential, okay? Now, if you, you know, you say, oh, I can't see it, right? Sometimes it's easier if you just put just the one word, pilot, instead of private, you know, private pilot, ASE, let everything pop up. Because sometimes if you do put something and it just never shows up. So again, less is more, just add one word till you see the credential, okay? So again, there might be 2 or more exams that's linked to a specific credential. Okay, so you'll see a written and a practical. That's not something we can fix. That's something that is in Army Cool and it's done that way. There's a whole process for why it's done that way, but that's okay, right? You just need to select one and add to that. Now you could add to both if you know, if you want to, totally fine to do that. Add the exact same information in case the soldier selects one or the, you know, and not the other, or you can just tell the soldier. Okay, can somebody please put their phone on mute? Or you could just tell the soldier, hey, I need you to pick the one that has an A next to it, or the written private pilot, right? Or the practical, because that's, you know, that's the one that all the information is under, right? So you could do that because they will be contacting you specifically. So this is a perfect time for you to be specific on what it is that they'll receive, what you need, or what they need, and so forth, okay? Okay, so here goes the information that can be added in the AI portal. And I've just seen someone else's a prep course that they added, and it had a whole lot of stuff in there that's going to be changed here shortly because we cannot have bundles listed in here, okay? So again, the title of the course that you're offering, whatever method, teaching method, whether it be traditional or online, and then the cost, okay? If there are no prerequisites for this course, then just leave it blank. If there are any materials, you cannot list any materials that you know, go with this course, right? That must be entered separately. However, you can add fees, right? You can say there's an application fee that goes with this training. There's this membership fee that goes with this training that we have to have before you can take the exam. You know, you can add those in here. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. And in the description, please don't itemize and put all the details, because again, then that would be considered bundling. I know not everyone thinks that itemizing is bundling, but in our view, bundling, itemizing is bundling, okay? So please don't do that here. Okay, so you can just, you can put like, again, your URL to where you want them to go, because this is what's going to show up in their view when they start searching for credentials or training, okay? And once you're done, you just hit save. So I want any questions on this one? Because this is a big one that we have issues with vendors not, you know, paying attention to the description, or they're adding all of these itemized items into the materials box or the description. Okay. All right. So then if there's no exam to select from, right, just email us and let us know. I'm pretty sure that all of them were added. So what we did was Army Cool listed just basically like basic exams, just no titles or anything, just, you know, exam. That way every credential would have something you could select and add to. Unfortunately, previous system allowed for all of this to be added a different way, but in this system, you can only do it by selecting, you know, an exam, even though it's really, you know, not an exam ready yet, but we did add that so that it could show up in the AI portal for you to select. Another question I get a lot is, hey, this Microsoft or, you know, CompTIA credential is outdated. So anything that goes into the AI portal comes from Army Cool when it comes to credentials. And Army Cool cannot update any of the credentials until the credentialing agency updates them or lets them know to update it, right? They can't just do it on their own. Has to come from the credentialing agency. So if you know that there's credentials that are outdated, you can easily tell the credentialing agency that, hey, your credentials are outdated in Army Cool. Can you get those updated? Because that's exactly what we tell them to do. Okay. All right, so as far as exams, same thing. You're gonna just add the title. You're gonna select the actual, whatever the credential is, you can hit the plus sign. And then from there, this one doesn't allow for you to add a title. And this is, again, something that we're working on. Oh, I see a hand. Okay, Siobhan, go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you for letting me ask my question. So with the credential not being updated, so do we just keep the current credential until that information is updated?
Yes, because that's the only way you're going to be able to get it is or add it to the AI
Okay.
portals by using what's in there
Okay,
until it is updated.
alrighty. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So going back to the exam, it only allows you to add a website. So you want to put your website in there, the cost, and then the description. You can, again, just like I told you before, you can add fees. Totally fine to add fees. We have no issues with that. And then once you're done, save. Now I know it doesn't quite show up on the invoice like you'd like it. I'm so sorry. That is something that's also being worked on. Don't know how that's going to happen yet, but more to follow on that. Study material, same thing, right? You're just going to add the title, select the actual credential, and then you're going to give details on this one, right? So if you're going to put the title of the book, and then the cost of the book, and then prerequisites. You can add the information, you can put them in there, you can add in the description, but be very specific so they know which edition, that you need for your course, or that you require for that specific course. Because if you don't put an edition or the ISBN number, soldier's going to get a book that is maybe like a PMBOK, but it might be a different edition. Okay, that might not be what you use. So please be very specific in your description so they know to add the actual, correct book so that finance can find that book and, send it to them. Also, please add shipping fees. Even if you're not sure how much it is, you can, if you have a roundabout like, hey, the most we've ever had to, pay for shipping was $20, well, then just add $20, right? If it's lower than that, then we can edit that cost. If it is higher than that, then we, unfortunately, finance will reject that case because they can't add more to that shipping fee. So it's better if you have a higher shipping fee if you don't really know what the shipping fee is going to be. Okay, updating the pass-fail grades, and we'll just kind of go through these quickly. You should have these boxes where you can select Army CA for active duty or reserve or guard, whichever one. Submit for the missing grades, choose the online form. And then from there, you should have the ability to see soldiers' names, the title of those courses, and then the ability to add the grade. Now, you're only going to see these after the end date has passed. And again, this is something that we're hoping will change in the near future, but I can't give you a date on when that will happen. But eventually you'll be able to add it prior to the end date. Until that time, unfortunately, you have to wait till the end date is passed before you can add that student's grade. Okay, once you add the P or an F, those are the only two grades you can add. I know there are some AIs that can add different grades on the TA side, but that is not the CA side. We only allow for P and F, okay? If a soldier wants to withdraw, they must do so by submitting an Army Ignited message to the credentialing assistance, using the credentialing assistance category. in order to request a withdrawal. They cannot do it directly with you until that has been completed. It is a different process than the way it's done on the other side, but this is our process that we have to go by, okay? And we are the only people that can add. So ACAPO is the only team that can add the grade, all right? That does not go through the ed centers. The ed centers don't have a part in the processing, the payment, anything. They don't have a part in the CA process. They do counsel is all they can do for the CA side. Okay, once you submitted the grade, you just hit yes. And then the same thing for any overdue grades, it's the same exact thing. So let's go over the sample vendor quotes. So I added, these are just the quotes, and I know this gets kind of confusing, right? And I just helped somebody else with a quote. So let's see if I could bring that over so you can see what their course. Let me see. Can you see this quote, Russell?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. So this is just, again, there would be an actual vendor's logo up here, but I just removed it. And if they want DeSoders to purchase specific, materials that they offer, that they could, take payment for, then they would add it here. So in this case, DeSoder needed a medical exam. That is considered a fee. So it can be added to the materials quote, right? So here's the headset that they needed. And then there was just the exam fee. And then that's the total. And then they have the DeSoder's name. And then they will add an expiration date. Because I do recommend you add at least an expiration date. Because if you don't add an expiration date, and this soldier comes back 2 years later to use the same quote, which we have already seen, you don't want to, get this call from finance and they say, here's the quote, this is what the price is, and your price already changed a long time ago, okay? So I just recommend adding an expiration date. All right, so now let's do a quote for just, oh, of course it didn't want to work for me right now. Oh, I apologize. But if it was just training, do that now, sorry. Anyways, if it was just training, you would just list it as private pilot, a SEL training course. And then again, you can also add the fee to the training course. The fee can go with the materials, they can go with the training, they can go with the exam, totally fine, as long as it says fee, right? And you can't call a check ride a fee. That's not a fee, or that's an exam. Okay, so if this was training, then the item would be called, whatever, private pilot, 20 hours at $165, right? And then there's a fee, but that would be total $540. Let me go back to my slides. Sweet. So this is for training, right? So again, credentialing training 101, part 1, $250 in there. If you wanted to add a fee, you could absolutely do that. Vendor's name, DeSoder's info. Again, you can actually add the course dates, but at least add an expiration date. And Russell already talked about this before, where it must be at least 45 days from the start date and no farther out than 90 calendar days. Okay, calendar days used to be business days, but it really is, this 45 days is really 30 business days. So same thing, just change the calendar to from business to calendar. Any questions on the training quote? And this would go same for exam, just the same basic information. You can add, again, you can add for books, materials, they can be added together on one quote, totally fine to add on one quote. Shipping fees can be added, and there's the total cost. But training must be submitted separately, a separate quote. Exam must be a separate quote. You cannot add materials or itemize on one quote, okay? No questions? Oh, great. Oh, question or no?
I guess I have a question. This is Robin.
Sure.
On the material, on our old quotes, we would say commonly materials, access to our online portal. Should we not even say that anymore? I mean, we didn't charge for it. It was just like a feature.
Right, just leave it off.
Okay.
Leave it off and just put just the title of so again, if this credential training 101 part 1 had a free, site like you just said,
Mhm.
that doesn't need to be mentioned because then it might be considered itemized, right?
Got it. Less is more.
Yes, less is more. But just make sure you do the same thing in the AI portal, okay? It
Okay.
needs to look the same there as well.
Okay.
Okay. Maria, you have a question?
I actually have two.
Okay, sure.
First of all, this is in reference to the education goal, I guess, where the student goes and put in
Mhm.
the
Yes.
request. But if there is only one option to select CompTIA A+ during the education goal request, but they need to upload for A+, 1101 and 1102, how do we do this without making it look like a duplicate?
Yeah, it's going to show up as a duplicate. That's not something we can fix, but we know that there's 2 parts to the A+ credential. So are you saying like when you enter it in the AI portal or when the SODR submits?
When the soldier submits.
Yeah, and that's fine. We won't reject those that come in as they should be able to just do it as they'll just need one goal, right? The one goal offers like 4 exams in there. So if they select one goal, they're able to submit 2 separate CA requests for the A+, as long as they say 1101 and 1102.
Okay. And second, do we know how long it takes for the education goal to be approved before before they can go apply for funding?
It's it's less than a day.
Less than
Right.
a day. Okay.
Less than a day, unless it's a weekend. So if it's a weekend and they submit it, it's going to wait till Monday before it gets approved. But we have no pending goals in our queue. They're just, as soon as they set them in, we approve them, and then we allow them to submit their CA request. Because sometimes, yeah, the goal, so this is different again from the TA side, and eventually that will change to where the goal just goes directly into the CA request because doesn't make any sense to do it this way, so we're changing it. But for now, we just basically approve everything to see what they're going to submit on their CA request. But when we do approve their goal, we do let them know, that doesn't mean that what you're submitting is good to go or that the vendor's approved yet. We're just approving your goal. You still have to submit all the rest of the stuff, basically.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Brenda?
Hi, good morning. Thank you for explaining that we need an expiration date on the quote. That's really important. But I just want to clarify, because we have been adding on the quotes the course title with the cost on the right. Then we've added the materials and the cost on the right, and the exam with the cost on the right. And I'm hearing you say that we need one for the course, one for the materials, and a separate quote for the exam. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Hi, Serena.
Hi. So my question is, using the example you have up there, if the course date starts 45 days out, let's say it starts April 3rd through the 7th, when the student submits their education and their CA request and they put the start date of April 3rd for the class, and they don't get approved to the day of the class, then they can't attend because the class has already started. Can they put a start date a week ahead of that? Or does the quote and everything all have to match what they submit?
So it does have to match. Well, so I understand what you're saying, because that makes sense. And we do have some vendors that will put, or add a start date as a week earlier than the actual start date, just so that, they get time to send them books and all that other stuff. And that's fine. If the class start date is April 3rd and you have the start date as March, I don't know, 28th. Yeah, 27th. That's okay. The soldier can ask for that.
Okay,
Just as long as you accept payment, right? So you come
right.
back and say, hey, no, the class doesn't start till the 3rd. Well, well, then that could result in a rejection, right? So just accept a payment for that start date of 3 April when the start date on their CA request is 28 March.
Right. Because we had that happen. We've had a couple students, they can't get into class because they got approved the day class started.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to make sure I'm getting quotes correct to students so that they're approved to be able
Yeah.
to attend.
That's totally fine, but just know that sometimes we have gotten this situation too, where a soldier will say, I'm withdrawing, but even though the start date on their CA request shows, and I'll use your dates, 28 March, but the actual course date doesn't start till the 3rd of April, they will say, oh, well, the start date's not till, 3 April. I need, I'm dropping out of this course. And our answer is going to be, no, your start date was 28 March, because that's
Right.
what you put on your CA request.
Okay,
But we, if they did get an approved waiver, we still would request the refund for that course.
okay, great.
Okay. I think it was Diana next.
No, Brenda, then Maria, then me.
Oh, okay. Brenda? Okay. Serena? No? I just see your hands are still up. Okay, Diana, it's you.
Okay, maybe it is me. All right. So regarding the books and materials and things like that, and someone else mentioned if this is just a portal where they go and they have access to materials for the class, we don't enter it anywhere. But where do you recommend that we mention that, just so that the soldiers know? Yes, you will have access to materials. We're just not listing it on the quote because it doesn't have a fee. We're also removing it from, or not listing it in the description on the AI portal. So where's a good place for us to put that? Can we put it as a note on the quote?
So no, not on the quote, please. If you could just, again, add your URL in the description, and you can state, please go to this URL to find out details on, on what, you'll receive, right?
Got it.
That's the best we can do on that one.
And should we put that in the description for each course on AI portal then, or put it on? Okay.
No, please go there, and just put it in the AI portal in the description, because that's what
Got it.
they'll see.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so I think I got through that. So we talked about quotes. That's a huge deal right now. Soldiers are getting rejected because we cannot, we've got thousands of cases, and our team, who's on here, Dottie, David, and Kristen, who process all of these cases. There's thousands of cases waiting. So we cannot hold on new quotes. And I know that gets upsetting to some because we're like, oh, well, geez, you guys are screwing the soldier over. But we've talked about this since August of last year. This is not new. We've asked you all to please correct your quotes because of this new change. It's not necessarily a change that we all wanted, but unfortunately, that's what we have to deal with. So I just ask that you please, if you know that you send out a quote that has itemized things on it, please send that soldier a new quote so they can upload that as soon as possible. That way, before we process those cases, it's already in there and nobody gets rejected prior to, like a week before their class starts. Okay, because we get yelled at quite a bit by soldiers, saying, oh, we didn't, you're rejecting our cases. Well, we can't hold for everybody or else we would never get done, right? So we have to start somewhere, and that is with you all sending them quotes that we've asked for that are not itemized, that are separated, and really appreciate that for doing that. Receipts is another thing. So finance, they're trying to pay as fast as they can, but just like I said, we got thousands, they got thousands, right, to pay. So we hear a lot of like, oh, well, can you guys do this and that? And the answer is, and I'm sorry, once I know about it, I'm going to say no, because finance has a shortage of staff for one. They've got thousands of cases. They don't have time to go back and ask for, this, that, and the other, right? And they don't have time to wait for receipts. So soldiers cannot start until finance gets that receipt. As soon as they get their receipt, they hit paid on the soldier's account and the soldier can start. So really appreciate those that are just kicking them out there as soon as they're getting paid. Really appreciate that. And those that are taking a little more time, I ask that you please speed it up a little. We're looking to see different ways that you can submit those quotes, or I'm sorry, not quotes, but receipts. But really, again, soldiers can't start until finance gets those receipts. Go ahead, Sandra.
Good morning, Sophia. I had a payment for 5 members, and then one of those 5. So I did a quote receipt for five service members. One of those service members, 3 days after payment happened, had to cancel due to a flag, and he's separating. He put through some paperwork. I think you guys should be aware of this, but what I've got are 6 more people coming into that class. And rather than doing a refund, which cost me 6% on the credit card, I was hoping that because it was a group quote, it was no individual in that quote, just a payment for 5 individuals, that credit card holder could then be authorized for the next payment of the next soldier so that I don't have to put through a 6% loss.
Yeah, totally understand. And I'm gonna see if I can put her on the spot, but Sandy, is that something you could do? Replace one for another?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
So if you paid a vendor, for 5 soldiers, one soldier dropped out right after the payment was made, but there's another soldier that's in line to get funded, can you just use that payment instead of us asking for a refund, apply it toward the next soldier that comes in?
Well, no, because we would have to have a request for that service member in Ignited to do that.
I already have an approved request, and he is in payment now. So he's already been approved for payment, but someone else, another credit card, was sent to me for that next soldier's payment. It's literally sitting in, I have to either do she just sent it to me on Friday. And I made the request last week. So the pending soldier is ready for payment, but rather than taking a new credit card payment, I would like to release the one who has canceled from the group of 5 and replace it with the new soldier that's pending payment with a new credit card already approved.
Okay. So it can probably be done. But I would say it would be a little bit more complicated for our office because we have 4 different card holders right now.
Yes.
So it's a little confusing if one voucher examiner is paying for that original invoice with 5 service members, and then you've got that change for 1 service member, and another card holder has submitted request for payment on the other soldier that you want to.
I do not disagree. And I'm happy to take this offline. I think it actually, in this particular case, is probably pretty simple because we both tracked this and it just literally just happened. So I don't need to waste people's time to hear it, but I just wanted to know if we could set up that discussion this afternoon or today, please. I mean, I just don't want to lose 6% because the Army didn't find didn't properly process the service member when he was already departing the service.
Well, no, hold on so it's not about that, it was not processed properly, Sandra. Some of these things don't appear until after the fact, because if we saw that.
I'm agreeing, Sophia, I'm absolutely agreeing. I'm happy to be very, very flexible, and I want to be very, very flexible, of course, but it cost me 6% to do a refund on a credit card, and I don't have that in the pricing, is what I'm saying.
Okay, we could take that offline and
Okay.
then discuss further.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Sandy. Okay, Maria?
I am listed as the contact in the portal under the portal. However, the payments are coming to me when they should be going to our accounts payable person. That person is also in the portal, so I'm not sure how to get that changed.
Okay, you said that the person that's supposed to be receiving the payments, they're in the AI, or they're in the AI portal as invoice?
Yes, but I'm still getting.
But you're
I'm still getting the request to charge the card. So, and of course I'm forwarding it over, and then she's forwarding it back, and then I'm forwarding over the receipt. But it seems like if we can just figure out how to get it directly to her, it'll eliminate a delay and the extra work.
Okay, thank you. I will definitely share that with the finance team, where to find that information.
Okay.
That's my fault, because I tell them, look on the approved vendor list, and so, they probably didn't go to the portal to do that, so I'll take that.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Okay. I don't see Maria. That was just you, right?
This is Robin. That actually raised a great question. So when the service members reach out to us now, which field do they look at? Is it the education technician, or before we had like a info at or learn at, but I didn't see where to put that into the portal. So I like when a service member reaches out to us, I like them to email learn@aristalearn, and then it propagates to my whole team. So when I was putting in my users into the AR portal now, I put in the user and the username, but I'm just not sure what the interface is on the service member side. What do they see? And can we use that again? Can we do like learn@aristalearn instead of an individual name?
Yeah, so I'll tell you what, Robin, if you want to just send me an email, and then we can discuss, like, we can look at your account to see where it's going to be added. We can make sure our approved vendor list looks the same.
Okay. Okay, because it did on the old one. But thank you so much. Appreciate that.
No problem. And I know that we have gone over the time, so I'm not going to hold anybody up, but if you do want to continue to remain, I'll continue to answer your questions. Just real quick to go over links and emails. Again, if you have any questions about the guidelines of any of your marketing stuff, you can do that. You can also send it to us to review. There's a CA page which has the step-by-step guides for the SODERs and the vendors, right? But that's just for new vendors, right? And then, of course, all the credentials on the Army Cool side. And this is for vendors only. This email box right here is just for vendors, not for SODERs. Please do not send SODERs to our email box or to our personal emails. They must do their questions through the Army Ignited messaging box, right? And selecting the credentialing assistance category. But here's the AI portal information, their help desk if you have questions. So I just want to thank you all very much for attending today's session. We do have another one this afternoon. Please feel free to join in that one. And again, I will remain here and until I just want to make sure you guys know that you can leave if you need to. But I do want to finish. I just want to make sure I finish. But okay, Brenda?
And I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.
Oh, it's okay, Russell, if you just want to keep it going.
Okay, perfect.
Go ahead, Brenda.
Hi, good morning, Sweeney. Thank you. In the past, you had suggested in the AI portal that in the title of our courses and materials that we put Army first. So
Yeah.
that's the way we've been doing it. Should we continue with that?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for saying that, because yes, if we see something that's Air Force, we do reject, because sometimes we see that they have bundles which we cannot allow for. So definitely appreciate you putting Army. That definitely helps the soldiers distinguish between which ones they should and shouldn't get. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see, Siobhan?
Yes, thank you. Could you please provide me the link as to where the soldiers need to, let me rephrase it. Provide us a link that we can provide the soldiers who have questions. Is this where they need to go, such as how to get started? We get a lot of questions with that.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
It's the credentialing assistance page in Army Cool.
Okay.
So that's where they should be going. So if you just send them to Army Cool, that is helpful, because everything they need is in this step-by-step guide for soldiers.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Tully?
Hi, good morning. Thank you for taking my question. I have a quick question. When we give the call to the soldiers, our courses have like 6 months to complete, you know, and if they need an extension, they can request appropriately. However, although the dates were 6 months on the quote, when we receive the payment, the dates given to the soldier is reduced down to 3 months. I just want to have some clarity. Do I need to let the student know? Our finance team, when they made the payment, our original dates was 1/15/2023, and date was 7/15/23, but the course end date is approved on the invoice March 25th, 23.
So the only the start and end date are only selected by the soldier, right? So if the soldier has made an error in selecting the appropriate end date, they must submit a message in Army Ignited to request a change to that end date.
Okay, so it's not really finance team. It is actually the soldier may have changed the dates.
Correct. It's just
okay. Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, Priscilla.
Good morning, Sophia. Can you hear me?
I sure can.
Good. Can you please go back on the slide that Russell was showing about the MOA, the agreement between the institution or the vendor, and then the MOA where he was mentioning about adding the name of the, I believe that one. Okay, I guess then I might be talking about two different things, because when we log into the AI portal, we are now being asked to reaffirm an agreement, but that might not be between CA and us, because it does not allow us to add the vendor name, and it does not give us a copy, like to download a copy in a Word document. So let's say that it would be the agreement between CA and the vendor. Where can we get a copy of the process that we completed, the signatures and everything once it's done, or we cannot do that?
Once you, so yeah, I'm kind of curious what what you're talking about as far as something making you reaffirm something.
Yeah, because last year we did complete the whole agreement. And then I remember you guys mentioned, yeah, even if you did that, you're gonna have to do it again because switch to the AI portal.
Correct. Well, it's not that you had to do it again. It's just those that new vendors had to do that. You all never had to do a new MOA, right? We're putting it out now because we now have to do a new MOA for everybody. We're just giving you time to be settled in the system before, saying, hey, everyone needs to do their MOA again.
Yeah,
So
because we are having that message popping up, and now I'm no longer seeing. So I'm just trying to understand what changed. We are gonna, because we are at CCME, we're gonna review this week in details, and now I can access. So I was hoping that I could go somewhere and get a copy of that. That's to see who signed it or how it's completed. Yeah.
So
Okay.
So normally what we do is if you do sign a new MOA, like the only one that we're going to return a copy on is the PDF document that's signed by both our by your school and also by our associate director. But if you don't have that, just do me a favor, Priscilla, can you just take a screenshot of what you're seeing and then send it to us on an email?
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
Brian?
Hi, thank you very much. And I also have a question about an end date on a course. I just heard the question of a couple questions ago, but so we have a member taking training, and when we issue the quote, we typically put a start date and end date on the quote for them. However, the course needs to be extended to a later end date. So in this particular case, it sounded like there's nothing I need to do, but the soldier needs to submit a message in Army Ignited to change that end date.
Correct, using the credentialing assistance category, because they sometimes will send it to their education centers, which they can't do anything for them. Nothing goes through the ed center. So if you just specify, send your message and select the credentialing assistance category to request an extension with a date.
Okay, and then the second part of my question is just in terms of reporting the grades then. So if they extend the date, do I get notified, or is like to submit the grade upon completion?
Yes,
Is
in the
that
AI portal, right? In the AI portal, you will see if the end date has passed, you will get that message, or actually not a message. You're going to have to go in and check your AI portal account just to see like, hey, is there any pending grades? And if you happen to see a grade that, you see a soldier that, hey, this guy was supposed to extend, they're not finished yet, right? You can always reach out to that soldier and say, hey, you need to submit a request to extend because it's asking me for a grade and I will have to give a grade here shortly if you don't.
okay, yeah, that's sort of, yeah, okay, that's clear. So I'll let them know they need to submit that and use credentialing assistance category.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
I wonder about the folks who have an end date this year. So they started last year and now they'll have an end date in 2023. Are they going to be in the old system or are they going to get transferred over to the new system?
Yeah, everything is in the new system. The old system was already shut down back in, I think, December. It was shut down completely. So you'll never be able to go back there. They will populate in this system. So in the AI portal, you should see all the ones that are supposed to be finished. You should start seeing them in the AI portal.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So is that Christine or no, not Christine?
Yes, I have a question. No, that wasn't Christine. This is Christine.
Okay.
Hi, Sophia.
Hi.
Can you please, just so that I'm clear, define bundling?
So a bundle would be, let me see, I'll show you on the quote, right? Here we go. So let's just say this is an actual quote for training, right? And let's say that this is, wait, let me see. We'll use this one. Course title, you've got credentialing training 101, and then you went ahead and added you added books and materials, right? And so when you did that, you just bundled, whether it was itemized, right? Whether it was itemized or not, it is, if, you know, maybe it's just itemized, but it's still a bundle.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does, yes. But the way we work with our training vendor is a bundle is like when you have two courses in one, like for example, supply chain, professional, and freight agent broker training. Those are like two classes, but one leading to one credential.
Right.
Is that
I understand.
acceptable?
No, so every training has to be, you know, listed as one. So that's just one course. So, and then I want to show you this too, right? So if you had this at $0, but it was just something that the soldier receives at $0, that's itemization. And then we can't have that either, right? None of this can be in with a training or an exam quote.
Right, I understand that about the materials, but I'm talking about the course title. If you get two courses for the price of one.
You cannot bundle. So that would go back to the MOA.
Right, right. I just wanted to make sure. So I have to remove those classes because I have them listed.
Oh, okay, yeah, definitely. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the bundle one, but yeah, you can't, there you go, refrain from bundling. You can't bundle multiple credentials or enrollments or courses, right? I should have specified that on there. But yeah,
Okay.
good,
Yep, perfect. Thank you.
no problem. Hi, Kevin.
Hello, thank you so much. And so just to confirm that you can, as your invoice shows, you can just list the course by itself and the shipping fees, as long as you have the shipping fees listed where you have your course description information, that would be sufficient, correct?
So here's the course, and if you had shipping fees for that, you can absolutely add that because it's just a fee, right? As long as it says fee, and it's not an exam, because we know, you know, if you put $555, we know that's a PMI exam. Some people try to do that, and that's a you know, a no-go. But if you did this, right, this is fine.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. Anyone else before we close it up? Oh,
Hey,
Tully,
Sophia,
oh, go ahead, Russell. I'm sorry.
sorry, I was just gonna reply to Nicole real quick on the line. The soldiers need to use the Army Ignited inbox messaging system. They no longer will use the Knox email address. They need to go specifically through the messenger system in Army Ignited. That's all I had. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, thank you. I appreciate that. Tully?
Hi again. A quick question. When we prepare the quote, you know, we do not, you know, itemize it and bundle, and I think it could be confusing for some of us. So we have one price for all our courses, and it includes meaning that they are free item, books, materials, and an exam. So when I prepare the quote, I put 0 by exam, materials, and you know, and then one final price for everything, for example, $39.50. Is that okay? I mean, I just put 0, there are no fees, like you're explaining to us. If it is 0, should I include it in the quote as 0 to have a clarification on the student side? Because they're asking, I pay for this separately, and the answer is no.
So you're asking if you could do this right here?
Yes, ma'am.
The answer is no. You
Okay.
cannot add these, even if it's at 0 cost, just leave it off. And you just list it just like this, just the total cost of that course.
And do not say anything anywhere on the quote, everything is all included in this price.
Well, as long as those, so if the books and materials are part of the cost of the course, you have to separate them. You have to separate them. And so that should be 2 separate quotes that you provide. But if it is just items that you give, they're not part of the total cost of the course, you just list it just like this.
Okay. But
Yeah.
they are free items.
Okay, then you don't have to add them at all in here. Don't mention them in here.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, Sophia, there was a question in here regarding the 403 errors that some of the vendors were getting when they try to go to the websites. Some of the links that we've sent, when they click on them, they give them the 403 error.
That would have to be, let me see that. Okay, I'm looking. Could not be blocked. Yeesh. Well, that is something we cannot address, and it will have to go to oh wait, so here's my question. What browser are you using? This is going to Cool, right? You're trying to use the Cool website? If you're using.
Hi, this is Missy. I was the one that asked that question. It was one of the links you showed on that last kind of contact us slide, and we'd also previously received it in one of your emails. That second link there, that was just my example. When I paste that into a browser and hit enter, yeah, I'm getting that 403 error that I just pasted in.
Are you using Internet Explorer? Because
it's Google Chrome.
Huh. And Chrome is doing that too? Ooh, that is an error. Okay. So I'll tell you what, I will take that and I will show it to our team. Could you send me an email with that screenshot and the browser that you're using?
Absolutely, sure.
Then I'll have
And
the
you know,
team
we're some of the ones who have been having a lot of those security certificate issues as well. When we try to log into the portal and it says the site's not secure, it's against our company protocol to click accept and continue anything that is saying it's not secure. So is your new vendor working on those security certificates on your side? Because those typically are fixed on the host side, not the user side.
So look, I can see what you're doing. Like on the screenshot you put, there's no HTTP, none of this right here. You just went straight Cool OSD.
In the past, we've clicked the link from your email, which had that, and when I type that in, it auto corrects to that.
So I'll ask you to do one more thing. If you can just hit Control F5 and then try again with the HTTPS / //www. If you could try that, and if not, like I said, send me the screenshot and everything, and I will forward it to our Army Cool team.
Okay, yes, I still receive that error, but it's potentially related to all those security certificates as well. But are those in process on your side to be updated? Because as we try to update all our user accounts and our courses and everything, every time we get that, the site is not secure.
Well, so this is an actual public site for anyone. So that's why I'm so concerned, because that should not be happening to anybody. So yeah, just send it to me. I will take care of that part, because if it's happening to you, we just need to figure out why and how to fix it.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. I think, do we have any other questions? Okay, we're going to go ahead and close it up for today because I do have another meeting. And I'm sorry, I only scheduled this for an hour. Probably should have done an hour and a half, but we will go ahead and close up for today. Thank you all very, very much for joining today's session. Again, we have another one this afternoon. And again, thank you so much for what you do. Really appreciate that. Take care, everyone. And thank you,
Thanks,
Russell.
everybody. Bye.
Bye, thank you.
You want to stop the recording? That'd be great.